Good morning, everyone. This is indeed a day which God has made. Let us then rejoice in it and be glad, and let us count our many blessings. Let us be grateful for the capacity to see, feel, hear, and understand. Let us be grateful for the incredible gift of life. Let us be especially grateful for the ties of love which bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days. Please join me in our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice.
Good morning. My name is Ashlyn Caldwell, and I'd like to welcome you to our Youth Sunday. If you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. If you're a visitor, this is not our typical Sunday morning service. Usually we have a traditional Unitarian Universalist service with adults who do everything. But once a year, it's a tradition in our church for the youth to take over the chancel and express our own sacred and secular views through music, readings, and sermons by our seniors. We hope you find it entertaining and inspiring. We also hope you'll come back another time when the ministers are preaching. They can be entertaining and inspiring as well. As you may notice, we are attempting our first multi-platform service this morning with the families of our youth in the pews who are masked, seated in pods, and socially distanced. This is our first trial at getting you all back in our church building. You will hear more about this as the summer progresses. If you are impatient for reopening the church, come help us plant impatiens in the Memorial Garden from 1 to 3 on May 9th. This outdoor Mother's Day flower communion event is a come and go and intergenerational. So drop in with your own spade and gloves or borrow some of our sanitized ones. And please wear a mask. Save the date. The weekend of September 10th through 12th is our centennial homecoming. we're planning a huge weekend full of events at All Souls with festivities for everyone. If you've never been to All Souls, if you've been gone a long time, if your kids or grandkids grew up here but moved away, this weekend would be the perfect time to visit. So mark your calendars and begin making plans for the weekend of September 10th through 12th to be at All Souls. Please help me welcome to the chancel Ryan McGilvray and Adeline Robinson Baxter. It has been a challenging year for everyone, but we're giving Ryan and Adeline a special shout out for having persevered through this COVID year and being able to complete the coming of age program and deliver their credos to the congregation last month. Please help us officially welcome them into the fellowship of the youth department. And now a special musical message that's never been truer. I want to break free.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied. I don't need you. I want to break free. God knows I want to break free. I've fallen in love. I've fallen in love for the first time. This time I know it's for real. I've fallen in love. Yeah. God knows I'm falling in love. It's strange, but it's true. Hey, I can't get over the way you love me like you do, but I have to be sure when I walk out that door. I want to be free, baby. Oh, I want to break free. Oh, I want to break free.
But life still goes on.
I can't get used to living without you by my side. I don't want to live alone. Hey, God knows, got to make it on my own. So baby, can't you see? I've got to break free. I've got to break free. I want to break free. Yeah. I want to break free.
Good morning. Today's reading is from the film adaptation of one of my favorite stories, The Lord of the Rings. After a long and perilous journey, two hobbits, Frodo and Sam, are exhausted and hesitant to continue on their quest. Frodo says, "I can't do this, Sam." Sam replies, "I know. It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. Because they were holding on to something. Moved, Frodo asks, "What are we holding on to, Sam?" Sam responds, "That there's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for."
This is the time when we light candles and lift up transitions in our community. We light a candle to celebrate the birth of a daughter on April 22nd to Ian Butler, a graduate of the youth program from 2005. Congratulations to Ian and his spouse and to grandparents Jan Eckhart Butler and Bob Butler. We light a candle and send condolences to Lisa Potter, her daughter Vivian, and other family and friends on the loss of their son and brother, Xavier Tuis, who died Friday, April 23rd at the age of 17. Xander was well loved, and we count him as one of our own. We light a candle and surround our senior minister, Reverend Marlon, Anitra, Elias, and Lila with love as we lift up and honor the memory of their late daughter and sister, Sienna. She would have participated with us in this service in her senior year of high school. We light a candle for the mother of our executive minister, Reverend Barbara Prose. We wish Florence Rosenberg love and light and healing. We light a candle for all the victims, but especially the 19 children who were killed in the Oklahoma City bombing 26 years ago. And we light a candle for all those requests of your hearts that have not been named. Please join me in this meditation. Today, we celebrate a milestone in our development and in our individual journeys to reach our highest potentials. Yet, in the midst of our joy, we acknowledge those whose lives were cut short, those who did not have the opportunity to grow up. These sorrows, even in our young lives, sometimes seem to make no sense, but we do remember them and dedicate our lives to doing good in this world and creating a better society where all can grow into wholeness. Spirit of life, source of all, this good earth, we honor the goodness that is in this world in spite of all the evil. We honor those who have gotten into good trouble, who have worked to free themselves and others of the shadows of deception and injustice and hatred, who many times could have turned back but went forward in spite of the danger and fear. And may we be like them and keep holding on to what is good, truth, justice, and above all, love. May we always remember that these values are worth fighting for and fight for them. May we always remember that our freedom is linked to the freedom of others. Amen, and blessed be.
It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya.
She tied you to the kitchen chair. She broke your throat and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Well, baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya.
Well, I've seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Well, maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew ya.
And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
The tradition at All Souls is that on Youth Sunday, the offering goes to scholarships for our seniors. But in light of the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, the seniors have asked us to take up an offering to support the efforts of the Tulsa Metropolitan Ministry, which is seeking to raise $1,000 from 100 religious institutions in Tulsa for the reparations to the survivors and their descendants. $1,000 is only a small amount, but it is meant to demonstrate that the religious community of Tulsa believes that reparations is a moral imperative. The hope is that the religious communities of Tulsa will set the tone for the wider effort for reparations for this crime against humanity that happened in our city. Please give generously by donating or mailing a check to All Souls. Please be a part of this movement for justice in our times. Thank you. We will now receive today's offering.
There's so many songs about rainbows. What's on the other side?
Rainbows are visions only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star?
Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic.
Have you been half asleep? And have you heard voices? I hear them calling my name.
Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da do, la da 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 dee da da do, la da 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 dee da da do.
Good morning. My name is Caroline McGilvray, and this is my senior sermon. Earth Day was last Thursday, and I've been thinking a great deal about the planet and the impact that humans have made on our climate. I'm not sure when I became aware of climate change. Ever since I was a kid, I've been hearing about littering, pollution, and deforestation. And when I was in elementary school, we learned about ways to conserve energy in our homes and in our communities. I knew that conservation and recycling were important and littering was bad, but not much more than that. It wasn't until I was older that I began to understand the effects of climate change on a local, regional, national, and even global scale. As I grew, I saw the decline of so many environments, which led to catastrophic natural disasters, displacement, and loss of biodiversity. And I knew I wanted to help. I believe we should all help our communities, our societies, and our nations in the ways that we can. But take note, can is the important part here. I would like to share some of the things I have learned. You don't need to buy a new electric car, solar panels, or reusable straws to make a difference. Buying new things is often impractical, expensive, and inaccessible. And many times, products are marketed as eco-friendly to place responsibility on the consumer when the companies manufacturing them are responsible for extreme pollution, waste, and deforestation. How can we make a difference then? Well, there isn't one right answer to that, which is why I say do what you can. I suggest we all do our own research, learn about the environment, and figure out what works for our lives. For example, I think it actually helps not to buy new things. One of the reasons societies produce so much waste is because they focus on the new, the better, and the more efficient products, which increases consumption and leads to more waste. Using what we already have and making our items last longer is a huge help. But in the end, different things work for different people. Some people like to strive for a low or zero waste lifestyle. Others sign petitions and work to make their community greener and healthier. Overall, my advice is to take everything one step at a time, do what you can, and be okay with that. It can be overwhelming if we try to do too much and everything all at once. But doing something small is better than doing nothing at all. For instance, I like to think about planting trees. Sometimes planting trees can seem pointless, because how could one tree restore an entire forest? But that one tree can make all the difference for the small animals that rely on it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adele Williams. I've been an active member of All Souls in the youth group for a long time, and I've always been so excited to give my senior sermon. I thought often about what I would write about and who would be there to watch, but this year's been definitely different than what I imagined. Growing up, I was very insecure. I would ask my mom why my thighs were bigger than others, and boys would ask why my arms were hairier than theirs. I was a happy kid, but I was so consumed by how people perceived me. This continued as I got older, from being an 11-year-old going through puberty to getting ready for high school as a 14-year-old. But I began to understand that this is a common feeling for girls at this age and began to accept it. I let myself enjoy how I was and how I looked. But things started to change when I was 16. I was working as a lifeguard and became way more aware of my body. This led to a spiral of questioning if I was seeing myself how others saw me. My days became long and tiring, suffering silently. And then people began noticing me more, and that became a huge motivation for me. People who used to call me Roundel started talking to me and telling me how good I looked, which made me believe that the only way I could be pretty was if I was skinny. My family, though, didn't think I was so pretty. They knew that I was dying. Days after my 17th birthday, I was diagnosed with anorexia and began getting treatment for my disorder. I was so upset with everyone because the control I believe I had over how I looked was being taken away from me. I was constantly watched by my loved ones to make sure I was doing what I needed to do, and it was a slow but steady pace at recovery. Until COVID hit. I couldn't see my dietitian and therapist anymore. My parents did the best they could, but I slowly went back to how I was before. It felt so good to have that control back in my life, but I also knew my family was upset with what was going on. I remember my mom hugging me one night and crying because of how small I had gotten. At that point, I realized I needed to get help again. I hated making my loved ones worry about me and tell me how sick I looked. I began seeing a dietitian again last October, and she has helped my parents and me so much. She told us what was best for me at that moment and how they could help me. One day, she recommended putting me on the wait list for Laureate, and it made everything feel so real to me. A week or so later, we got a call for me to be admitted for inpatient care the following week. Those few weeks of waiting were probably the scariest weeks of my life. I was so afraid of leaving my friends and family right as the holidays were coming up. I was admitted to go inpatient on November 23rd. During my stay, I missed Thanksgiving, my birthday, Christmas, and New Year's. The hardest part about being at Laureate was the fact that I was so close to my friends and family, but I couldn't see them. I was only 10 minutes away from my house, but it might as well have been 1,000 miles. Today, though, I can say that going inpatient was probably the best decisions my family could have made. I can't believe what I would be like today if I hadn't gone. I was taught so much and met such amazing people. During my last days of being at Laureate, my therapist and I had a phone call with my friends. An important part of the process is to share how we all felt about me coming home. It was such an eye-opener for me. They told me how my eating disorder had affected our relationships when I had no clue whatsoever. It made me realize that my eating disorder had more power over me than I thought. Over the past 2 years, it wasn't me living, but my eating disorder stealing it from me. I'm proud to say that I've been in recovery for 5 months now. The days have not been easy, ask my mom and dad, but I'm so thankful to be doing what I need to do. Going inpatient didn't magically cure me, but it made the biggest difference. Recovery is a choice I have to make every day, and coming back to church has made it so much easier. I'm so glad I have the support system I have here, and I can't thank everyone enough. I want to give a huge thanks to Corey Smith for sticking with me and helping me out so much throughout my high school years here at All Souls, as well as David Smith, Tanner Phillips, Thomas Farron Williams, Shannon Boston, the Freedom family, Brandy Phillips, and Kate Starr. I think of this church as a second home, and it wouldn't be the same without you all. Thank you.
Nicki Minaj once said, "I'm not a word, I am not a line. I'm not a girl that can ever be defined." I can relate. My feelings and emotions are also beyond definitions. Today, I strive to be different than what people are used to seeing, but in many ways, I've always been. Growing up, I felt different than my classmates. I never fit the standards students are held up to. I always got in trouble for breaking dress codes. One day, I was wearing too many bracelets, and another, my neon socks were too distracting. True story, actually. I struggled with meeting deadlines for assignments and often gave up because my brain couldn't take anymore. When I tried to play some music to calm down during class, my phone got taken away. Basically, I wasn't a stranger to the detention room. Looking back, these things were stupid things to punish a kid for. All these boundaries and punishments given to me did nothing to help. It just made me break them more. While at All Souls, I was taught that being different is a great thing. Mixed math socks were no problem. And my worth wasn't measured by my schoolwork. All Souls has continuously been a safe place for me to experience experiment what I thought of myself and the world. I was really encouraged to dig down deep where all the meanings lie. Finding those meanings is bound to take you somewhere, and you'd be surprised to see where you end up afterwards. The most important thing to take away is that rainbows aren't made up of the same color, and there's no wrong way to paint the colors in that rainbow. I'm glad I was able to find my own rainbow expression. It's already hard to feel seen as both a Native American and Black person, but with the way I dress, it's kind of hard not to look. That's why I'm working hard to keep my rainbow bright. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Neil Franklin, and this is my senior sermon. Usually, most things go unnoticed. Slowing down and appreciating the roses along the way can be difficult when we are encouraged to take in as much information as possible. Through Snapchat, Instagram, and of course, preparing for impending Armageddon from various and miscellaneous causes. People who know me well know I tend to take things a bit more slowly than most. My family has grown accustomed to just leaving me at the table to finish the last few morsels. But even with my slower pace, I am still consuming every news cycle and everything the YouTube and Netflix algorithms feed me. I particularly appreciate the opportunities All Souls has given me to pause. While most people may associate slowness with such things as turtles and snails, I associate this rhythm of life with squirrels. Squirrels are always all around us, living their own little squirrely lives. Yet, unless they are interfering with your electrical grid or bird feeding, they are hardly noticed. Whenever I get the opportunity to push out all the distractions around me, the squirrels seem to rush in. During our senior spirit retreat, while we were supposed to be quietly introspecting, a squirrel close to where I was supposed to be journaling decided to throw its nuts at the ground to try and break them. This is the kind of thing that I would not notice otherwise, but this time it led me to all sorts of other questions. For example, where do squirrels sleep? Because surely there are not as many holes in trees as cartoons have led us to believe. These kinds of breaks from the grind of society are always welcome. I have always had a love-hate relationship with society and people in general. Individuals seem wonderful, and it is important to always see the best in them. And most of the time, society is a good thing. Youth Sunday is a pretty good example of that, where relying on other people to get their part done is essential. Suffice it to say that without those kazoos, this whole thing would have fallen apart. These types of opportunities to build on each other's talents and ideas are incredibly important, and one of the things I can only hope to find later in life as we all move away from each other into the world. The world is not chock full of rainbows and unicorns, and society has an agenda that isn't always trustworthy. Sometimes even you all do things I wish you wouldn't. For example, I probably lost a couple of you by talking about my squirrel metaphor for too long. On a personal level, in the past, I have been afraid that society as a whole, among other things, might not see me or my divorced lesbian parents as okay, which has left me steeling myself for attacks and preparing rebuttals. I believe all of us in this program have arrived in our emerging adulthood at a time when we will be constantly having to rely on other people. We have to rely on other people to wear our masks, our representatives to realize climate change as a reality, the people who elect them to do the same, and our neighbors to realize that this world is more fair for some people than it is for others. I would like to be self-reliant, as such thinkers as Ralph Waldo Emerson have emphasized, but that mountain seems steeper every day, the pond a little deeper. Long gone are the days where one could go pick up a rutabaga and stick it into the ground and call themselves a rutabaga farmer. Now you have to worry about a tractor, the gas for that tractor, and if OPEC feels like they want to spice things up that day or not. As I move towards college, I am realizing that I will have to rely on my parents, my grandparents, banks, the federal government, and a university. I trust my family a little bit more than the banks, of course. But the point is that my first real step towards independence will be riddled with codependency. 3 years ago, I stood at this pulpit and spoke about how we shouldn't be reliant on religion and God and live our lives based on the morals that we have within ourselves and not outsource those feelings. Now I believe that distancing oneself from that reliance would be easier than separating ourselves from some of the more unfortunate reliances that we have on other people. Now, you may think that I am a little bit paranoid, just a little nutty. But the point of this is to remind you all to be on the better side of society, to vote conscientiously, think of other people, and remember that somewhere there is always someone else relying on you to do the right thing. No pressure. May your eyes see beauty.
May your lips speak truth,
May your heart know love.
and may your hands do the good works of this world.
Go out and be blessed
and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us. For 100 years, All Souls in Tulsa has been a beacon of this free faith. We offer our services and programs freely online for all those who are interested. You can help us to do this by making a one-time gift today or a reoccurring pledge. We really appreciate you joining us and being a part of helping us make All Souls in Tulsa what it is. Thank you.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, no. I just want to tell you right now that I believe, I really do believe that something's got a hold on me, yeah. Oh, something's got a hold on me right now, child. Let me tell you now, I got a feeling, I feel so strange. Everything about me seems to have changed. Step by step, I got a brand new walk. I even sound sweeter when I talk. I said, oh, 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 hey, yeah. Oh, it must be love. Let me tell you now, something's got a hold on me, yeah. Oh, something's got a hold on me right now, child. Let me tell you now, I never felt like this before. Something's got a hold on me that won't let go. Believe I'd die if I only could. I feel so strange, but it sure feels good. I said, oh, 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 hey, yeah. Oh, it must be love. Let me tell you now, my heart feels heavy, my feet feel light. I shake all over, but I feel alright. I never felt like this before. gonna put a hurting on me. I said, oh, oh, oh.